You know that feeling when your German sentences just don't flow? They feel a little stiff, maybe a bit disconnected? Well, today we are going to fix that. We're going to dive into this really powerful tool that'll make your German sound so much smoother, way more sophisticated, and just incredibly fluent.
Okay, so take a look at this. On the left, we've got two perfectly correct, simple sentences. Das ist der Mann, arbeitet in Berlin. I mean, it's fine, right? But it sounds kind of choppy. Now look at the right. Das ist der Mann, der in Berlin arbeitet. See how that just glides? It's one elegant, flowing sentence. And that tiny little word, der, that's the key. The magic behind that one word is exactly what we're unpacking today.
So, what is this magic trick anyway? Well, it's called a relative clause, or as they say in German, a relative Satz. And you should really think of it as your secret weapon. It's how you add all this great descriptive detail to your sentences without, slamming on the brakes and starting a new one every single time.
So what is it, really? A relative clause is basically just a descriptive add-on. It's like a little mini sentence that latches onto a noun in your main sentence to give you more information about that noun. So instead of saying, that's the man, he works in Berlin, you get to say, that's the man who works in Berlin. See? That whole last part is the relative clause, and it's all just telling us more about the man.
And the structure? It's actually super logical. Let's break it down into 3 simple steps. First, you've got your main clause. That's the foundation of your sentence. Then, step 2, you've got the relative pronoun. Think of this as the connector, or like a bridge. And finally, you have the relative clause itself. That's the part with all the extra information that you're sending across that bridge. So, main clause, bridge, extra info. That's pretty much it.
Okay, let's talk about that bridge, that relative pronoun. This is where, a little bit of German grammar kicks in. But I promise it's really straightforward once you get the hang of the rules. It's all about just picking the right connector for the right noun.
And here it is. This is the golden rule, you guys. This is the most crucial part. The pronoun has to match the noun's gender and its number. So if the noun is masculine singular, the pronoun has to be 2. But, and this is the big but, it's case, nominative, accusative, dative. That comes from the job it's doing inside the new clause. Let's actually see what that looks like in action.
Okay, this table right here, this is your toolkit, your cheat sheet. You'll notice these look just like the definite articles, der, die, das, and that's because they are. They're just pulling double duty here as relative pronouns. And you can see how they change based on the case and the gender. For now, we're just going to focus on the big 3. Nominative for the subject, accusative for the direct object, and dative for the indirect object.
All right, let's see this in action. Take this sentence. Der Mann, der hier arbeitet, ist mein Onkel. So, who are we talking about? Der Mann? We know that's masculine. Now look inside just the little relative clause. Der hier arbeitet. Who is doing the action? Who is working? The man is. He's the subject of that little clause. So we need masculine and we need nominative. We look at our chart and boom, it's der.
Okay, how about an accusative one? Die Frau, die ich gestern gesehen habe, ist Lehrerin. So, our noun is die Frau. That's feminine. Now, let's zoom in on that relative clause. Die ich gestern gesehen habe. Who's doing the seeing? I am the subject. So what is the woman? She's the one being seen. She's the direct object. That means we need the accusative case. Feminine, accusative, and our chart tells us it's die.
And here's a great one for the dative case. Das Kind, dem ich geholfen habe, ist nett. The noun is das Kind, which is neuter. Now the key here is the verb geholfen, from helfen, to help. And if you've been studying German, you know helfen is one of those classic verbs that always takes the dative case. The child is the one receiving the help, so it's the indirect object. We need neuter, we need dative, and our chart gives us dem.
Okay, so you're getting the hang of picking the right pronoun. That's awesome. That's half the battle. Now for the other half of the puzzle, and this is a huge rule in German grammar, word order. We got to talk about what happens to the verb when it's inside one of these relative clauses.
This is such a classic German thing. In a normal sentence, the verb likes to hang out in the second position, right? Er lebt in Berlin. Nice and comfy. But the second you stick it inside a relative clause, bam! It gets kicked all the way to the very end of the clause. So er lebt in Berlin becomes der in Berlin lebt. This is a non-negotiable rule. The verb always goes to the end.
So there you have it, our 2 golden rules. 1,
pick the right pronoun by matching gender and number, but using the case from its new job, and 2, kick that verb to the very end. Now let's put it all together and actually try to turn some of those choppy sentences into fluent ones.
Okay, your turn. I want you to try this one. We have Das Buch ist interessant and Ich lese es. How would you combine them? So first step, what's the noun we're describing? Das Buch. Okay, what's its gender? It's neuter. Now what's its job in that second sentence? Ich lese es. I am reading it. So it is the direct object. That means we need the accusative case. So what do you think? Take a second.
And there you have it. Das Buch, das ich lese, ist interessant. We use das because it's the neuter accusative pronoun, right? And look where the verb lese ended up. All the way at the end of the clause, just before the comma. That's perfect. All right, let's do one more. This one's a little trickier, so pay close attention. Die Frau ist nett. Ich habe ihr geholfen. Our noun is die Frau, that's feminine, and the verb is geholfen, to help. Now, do you remember what case that verb helfen always triggers? Come on, think it through.
You got it. Die Frau, der ich geholfen habe, ist nett. Because helfen takes the dative, we needed the feminine dative pronoun, which, a little confusingly, is der. And just like clockwork, the conjugated verb habe gets sent all the way to the end. Seriously, this is how you start to sound way more natural in German.
And just like that, you've learned one of the most essential tools for speaking more advanced German. Seriously, this isn't just some boring grammar rule. It's a key that unlocks a whole new way of expressing yourself. It's how you move from just making simple statements to building these really cool, complex, nuanced ideas.
Okay, so let's do a lightning round recap of the golden rules. Rule 1. Relative clauses are all about adding extra info to a noun. Rule 2. The pronoun has to match the noun's gender and number. Rule 3. The pronoun gets its case from its job inside the new clause. And finally, Rule 4. The verb always goes to the very end of the relative clause. If you can remember those, you've pretty much mastered this.
And that is pretty much the whole shebang. You now have this incredible tool to connect your ideas in a much more sophisticated way. You can describe people and places and things with so much more detail and flow. So really, the only question left is, what new, more complex sentences are you going to build first?